Hi, this is Brian Cush of the Herald News, and this is my interview with Ramone Russell, Community Manager for MLB 11 The Show, which will be in stores next week for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and the PSP PlayStation Portable. And the first thing Ramone and I talked about were the all-new analog controls for MLB 11 The Show.
Whenever we add options in the game, what we never do is we take options away from last year. Because we always want to keep all of our fans happy, because we think some people fall in love with analog, and we also think some people still like to play with meter pitching or classic pitching. So those control methods are still in the game. So it's not really a switch to analog, it's an addition to analog. And the way our analog works is we basically look at high and low and left and right. So you pick your pitch, you pick your desired location, and the meter comes up on the screen. And you'll see pretty much a yellow target at the bottom of the meter. This yellow target represents your high and your low. If you hit this target spot on, your pitch will be pretty much where you want it to go, high and low. If you miss it a little bit lower, your pitches will drop in the zone. You miss it higher, your pitches will rise up in the zone. And that's meant to simulate, a pitcher missing his mark and overthrowing and underthrowing, just like you would in real life. To set your right and left, if you're trying to paint the corners, there'll be a target that'll move from the left to the right when you're trying to paint the corners. When this target moves, when you push the analog stick back up after you hit your high and low, you want to hit this target as well. And this target is how you set your left and your right. And it works the same way the bottom meter works. You miss it to the right, your pitches will drift to the right. You miss it to the left, your pitches will drift to the left. And the more offline you are, the more wild your pitches become. And this is, again, put in the game to simulate a pitcher missing his release point from the right to the left. Because, 1 inch changes where a pitcher will release the ball. And that's pretty much how we went about trying to implement an analog sweep of pitching that matched our game and our feature set.
Yeah, can you describe the hitting a little bit? And I like the way you described that. It's actually an option because, to be honest, I'm terrible at analog hitting, and I'm looking. I'll probably do something where I have the pitching and then do the classic hitting. Can you mix and match either one? Do you have that option too?
Yeah, you can mix and match anything.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I'm shaky with the analog hitting, Ramone. I'm shaky with the analog hitting. I like the pitching, but I've never been good at the hitting with the analog stick. So
that kind of puts a smile on my face because we want it to be a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a challenge just to put the ball in play. And what we didn't want to do was put a new control method in the game where you could pick up and within 1 or 2 days you master it. We kind of want it to be a grind because when you play it for about a week or so, you'll start to get the hang of it. And once you get the hang of it, you can look back on that experience from the beginning and you can recollect like, okay, I started out and I sucked it. Now I got the hang of it. And you can share that experience with your friends because your friends are going to suck at it too. Analog hitting is hard. If you've already played the demo, you'll notice it's hard. It's not really pick up and play because you're doing so much more than pressing a button now. And we did it to mimic a regular batter swing. So we've included the strides. In butting hitting, it's always been you just press X or you press square to, for a regular swing or a power swing. Now you actually have to stride. So we have this new timing mechanic in there. And the way it works is you want to start your stride pretty much right before the pitcher releases the ball. And then you want to swing when the pitcher's cross the plate. Now, where this will give most people problems is if you're looking for an off-speed pitch and it's a fastball, it's going to be kind of hard to react. And vice versa. If it's a fastball and you're trying to compensate for a breaking pitch because you've already started your stride, it's going to be hard to make up the timing. And that one aspect we think people are really, really going to love once they get the hang of it.
Now, a new addition to MLB 11, the show, is co-op play. You can do this offline and online. So if you're doing online co-op play 2-on-2, this reminds me of back in the day when me and my buddies used to play World Series baseball on the Genesis. We'd each take an inning or take a certain pitcher. Are you assigned to a certain player when you play online? Does how is it set up when you do online co-op?
So before you jump into an online mode, we'll give you the option menu, and you pick your responsibilities. Okay. So you can alternate pitching, where you pitch the first inning, your friend will pitch the second, and it'll continue to rotate. You can do the same thing for batting. Okay. Or you can do it to where, you'll pitch the entire game, and he'll hit the entire game, and vice versa. Fielding, we give you responsibilities where you choose how you want to field. So you could take the pitcher, you could take the catcher and the outfield, and your friend could always take the infield and the pitcher. And you can mix and match those combinations to, your liking just to have fun and switch it up.
Oh, okay. So you even have individual in the field on defense. You take care of the infield, catcher, and the outfield. You guys break it down that way. Okay, that's interesting.
Yep, we break it down that way. So it's real fun when your friend, throws an error or messes up a double play. You can sit there and you can fuss at him because you're allowed to run because his stick skills run up the park.
Exactly. Now, can you talk about how you guys have incorporated the PlayStation Move into MLB 11, the show?
So, Move came out, and we started prototyping, and first thing we looked at is, do we want to put this in the entire game? and we found out that you get really, really tired swinging the bat and throwing a lot of pitches.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at home run derby, and it was perfect. So we thought, let's put it in home run derby. It's a quick mode. It's really, really fun. A 3-year-old can play it, and you can just have a lot of fun with it. So move supports in home run derby this year, along with 3D. You can just have a lot of fun with the mode with your friends or your family. It's a real quick mini game, and we think people will like it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good spot for it for sure. We're joined by Ramone Russell, Community Manager for MLB 11 The Show, which comes out on March 8th for the PlayStation 3, PS2, and the PSP. Now, Ramone, you guys made some big changes to the very popular Road to the Show mode. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, so Road to the Show received pretty much the biggest facelift of any part of our game. It's even bigger than what we did with analog control. And the first thing we did was we wanted to give you the ability to customize your player starting out. So if you're a pitcher and you want to be like a guy like a David Price who has that one really dominant pitch, which is that running fastball, you can do that now. If you want to be a guy like Holiday who has a 5-pitch repertoire, you can be that guy. Or if you want to be like a Strasburg who just throws nasty stuff, but he can only throw for about 7 innings, you can choose to do that as well. So we added these interactive slider sets in the game, and you move them to the left and to the right, and we give you your starting attribute points based on these sliders. That's the first major change. The next major change is we've gotten rid of our dynamic goal system. And if you played Road to the Show in the past, your manager would always ask you, get a base hit, don't strike out.
Right.
Which didn't make a whole lot of sense because, of course, get a base hit, don't strike out. He doesn't really need to tell you that. So he ripped all of that stuff out the game. And what it's been replaced with is the player performance evaluator. And the way the PPE works is we don't tell you anything when it's up to bat. The only thing your manager would ever tell you to do is lay down a bunt, or he'll ask you to initiate a hit and run. That's pretty much it. So what we do now is we grade you on every single at-bat, or if you're a pitcher, we grade you on every batter faced. So if you have a 9-pitch strikeout, that's still a good at-bat because you drove the pitch count up. If you have a 1-pitch home run, even though you put a run on the board, you swung at the first pitch, so that's not necessarily a good at-bat. And we grade you on all these throughout the entire game, and then we give you an ending score at the end of the game, and that's how you get your training points. So that's the second major change to Road to the Show. Okay. The third major change is our call-up logic, which we've rewritten. Last year, you wouldn't get called up until your attributes reached a certain point, and this year it's more based upon your performance than your attributes. So if you start tearing it up in the minors and the guy above you isn't doing so hot, you'll get called up. Now, let's say you're in the Cardinals organization, you're a first baseman, and you start tearing it up. You're not going to get called up, and they're not going to send Pujols down. They're just not going to do it unless you're as good as Pujols. So it's still balanced in that manner. But with those three major changes, we think fans of Road to the Show are really, really going to love the most this year.
MLB 11 The Show now features a camera editor option where you can customize the view of the game to your liking, move the pitching meter anywhere on the screen you want, and you also have the option of all 30 broadcast views of all the major league teams.
So, exactly. So that's what we started this year. We wanted to add every 30 personal team broadcast camera in the game. So we put all 30 of those in the game. But then we said, I think we should take this a bit further. Let's let people create their own cameras. And so that's where the camera editor idea came in. So you can use the camera editor. You can start from any of the defaults, and then you can move the focal point. You can move the lens around. You can move the pitch meter around, and you can change the size of the pitch meter, and you can create your own custom cameras. And we give you 4 presets that you can save. So if you don't like the 53 cameras that we already have in the game, you can create your own 4.
I want to talk about online leagues, Ramone, and this is this would be the first time I try to be a commissioner for an online league. I have enough friends that have PS3 and are getting the show to actually get a league together. One thing that caught my eye, and I'll let you elaborate on this, you can add AI teams now. So let's say if I wanted to have an 8-team league, but I only had 5 friends, could I have 3 AI teams in the league? Is that how it's set up now?
That's exactly how it's set up.
That's
so
perfect.
You can have,
That's perfect.
It could just be your 5 friends and 20 AI teams.
Okay, and you could customize the schedules too, right? In
divisions?
Yep,
you can customize your schedule. We have some flex schedule there. You can customize your schedule. And we just wanted to give people who play in leagues way more options. And we've given commissioners much more control than they've ever had. We have full league integration on theshownation.com, which we'll launch the next week. We have a complete website revamp. And we think people are going to have a lot of fun with the leagues and the changes that we've made. So if it's just you and your 5 friends and you don't want to play each other all the time, you can pick a couple of computer teams, change the amount of games played, and you can have that experience where you're playing against your buddy and you're playing against the computer.
Yeah, that's a great addition. That's a great addition because it's hard to schedule everybody to play games every single week. Now you throw the AI teams in there, and then someone can play at their own time when they're free in the evening or whatever like that. So that's a great addition for the show. So if someone wanted to, could they customize a full season? Do they have that option to customize that many games, or is there like a limit to how many games you can have in a season?
You can do a full 156 game season if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
And as you add teams, as you add divisions, it changes how many games you can play, because we can only do that multiply so many times.
Right,
and you can also choose the series length, which we had last year. What we've added is last year, although you could choose the series length, the playoffs are always a 1-game playoff. So now you can choose the playoff length. So now you can have a 3-game, series, or you can have a 5-game series.